Hi, this is my final takeaway video. I wanted to start with my inspirations and what I'll take away from this class because I was really inspired by the people that we needed to reach out to in this class to move forward. And this was my first class that had such a diverse group of people studying different things. I'm in the nonprofit management and leadership program, and most of the classes I've taken so far have really been students in that program. And so this is the first one where it's been lots of people from other programs. So that was really cool to talk to people about what we think innovation is, where they're coming from, what community work looks like to them, and how that's different than the perspective that I had. I work at a community center, a Jewish community center, and so I tend to think about community in terms of work in that way, and then my community in my personal life is a very different kind of community, and there's so many different ways that when we say the word community, that means very different things to different people, and it's really nice to talk about that in an academic sense too. I also was really inspired by my interview for the final project. My interview was really, if you read about it, it was less focused on the questions, and I wanted to go in asking my questions, talking about how the university can support the program that this person is doing, but it really got into a deep talk about Israel and Palestine and how communities revolve around that, what community means within that really difficult, deep subject. So many communities have had trauma because of their experience in Israel and Palestine, and the way that we talk about Israel and Palestine within our communities can be really difficult, and we come from so many different places and have different ideas about what Judaism is, what anti-Semitism is, what Israel is to so many people, Palestine. So it really got into that, and it would have been a 3-hour conversation to even get to the point where we talked in depth about universities. So I realized during that it was just time for me to listen and take what was happening and not try to steer the conversation to something that would feel a little bit more rigid or not as authentic. And I think the format of this class allows for that. The format of the class was a little difficult for me. I'm used to each module being in order of what is due, and so organizing my thoughts and planning ahead was more difficult. For example, when we were reading something, I didn't know exactly what I was going to use later about that or not. So it was hard for me to tell, well, what am I going to do with this part later, because it wasn't as clearly laid out. And because I'm not the most organized person, I sort of need an organized system for me to start off with in a way that is more numerical. So that was a little challenging for me. Something I'd like to learn more about is with the conversations that many people had with their person, how do they take that into their specific program outside of, for me, nonprofit management? It's relevant for me because I talked about communities, Jewish communities, and I work in a Jewish community center. But within people's programs, some people are even engineers, or they are studying sustainability. Some people are focused on religious work or university work or healthcare. And so it's really interesting to see people's pathways with that, what they take from this class moving on into their real life. I thought Eric did a really great job of connecting his work of talking about diverse communities. We talked a lot about like housing needs and how racism and institutionalized issues take a big part in those communities. I also really liked some of what Chelsea said sticks out to me. She had a really interesting video performance in her Paulo Freire project that was a very different approach than what I had. So thank you very much.